Yeah, so I did a video recently describing the six films that I saw in 2019. Of all the superhero movies I saw, plus Knives Out and Terminator Dark Fate. But realistically, there was only one movie I was ever going to end 2019 on. I mean, I thought for a brief minute maybe starting 2020 with it, but no. Finally got to see it in theatres. Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this film, it had a lot to do. Not only is The Rise of Skywalker the end of the sequel series, i.e., The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, but it also essentially has to end the Skywalker saga, which is 42 years in the making. The original Star Wars, later renamed A New Hope, came out in 1977. So, in attempting to wrap up this chapter of the Star Wars whole franchise, having to wrap up 42 years worth of film, that's quite a task. And it was a wonder of was it going to live up to it. I mean, there were certain things, obstacles along the way. For example, the death of Carrie Fisher in 2016. And while they said that she had already filmed her parts for The Last Jedi and for Rogue One, that there was when they announced that they had still managed to cobble together her part from pieces in order to give her a part in The Rise of Skywalker, there was a little bit of hesitation, just like how could they realistically build her in? Well, I think they did pretty well. I mean, I went to see it with two of my family members, and on the way back, one of my family members said that while he thought the second half was really, really good, he thought the first half was kind of crap. I was just like, are we watching the same movie? But after having had a night to sleep on it, I do think he did have some legitimate points. But anyway, The Rise of Skywalker. We see once again the return of our main three for the sequel series, Finn, Poe, and Rey. And the galaxy is rather shivering because a voice is rung out throughout the universe. I'll try and talk about this without too many spoilers, but I can't promise so much to get in there. A voice is rung out throughout the universe, the voice of of Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, played once again by Ian McDiarmid. And Kylo Ren is mostly looking out to try and find a way of stopping Darth Sidious from once again rising to power in order to keep his power in check. Meanwhile, our heroes are trying to find out what exactly caused this and also trying to stop it themselves. And along the way, they do face encounters, but they do face problems along their way, but they also get some help in the form of characters we've known and loved along the way, such as Leia Organa, and the return of Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. Who, yeah, it's good to see him back in this. I don't think I'm spoiling anything for anyone because he was in the trailers, but yeah, I think he did a good job here as well. Also, one other person who is not a major character in the film, but I felt I had to bring up, is Richard E. Grant as General Pride. And personally, I think Richard E. Grant was made to be a Star Wars villain. Not one of the big ones like Darth Sidious or Vader or Kylo Ren, but Richard E. Grant as a general in the Empire, I thought that was genius. Because he's got such a smarminess and such a coldness about him that just when he barks orders, it feels genuine. I personally feel Richard E. Grant in this film as as a general in the Empire, that to me was genius. So yeah, Richard E. Grant, I feel he's good in there. And this film also comes with the big reveal of who Rey is. Now, I won't give away what the big secret is, and I will admit it's probably not as big as some other big reveals in films, like the original Darth Vader revealing that he was Luke's father. Probably not as big as that, but when it was revealed who Rey actually was, to me that was probably not a huge shock, but I was like, whoa, whoa, okay, yeah, that, that's quite sinister. But one thing I will say, I won't give too much away, but it's kind of a reverse of Kylo Ren, in that Kylo Ren was born to seemingly good parents, but then ultimately turned to the dark side. This is kind of a reversal of that, but I won't give too much away. Well, I'm probably have already given too much away. But yeah, the one of the people who I went to the cinema to see this with, one was on the way back, who was like saying that the first half was crap, but then the second half was really good. And I was thinking, really? But having had a night to sleep on it, maybe he did have a point, in that he claimed that he felt the first half of the movie was kind of making fun of him for liking Poe Dameron in the first film. And, well, from Force Awakens and Last Jedi. And kind of looking back, I will admit sometimes Poe did tend to act a bit like a jerk throughout the first half of the movie, but I'm not entirely sure about that. I mean, it's clear that they were trying to give him something similar to Han Solo from the original trilogy. I can kind of see why, but yeah. I mean, I will admit the last half of the movie is where things get good. I mean, the final battle is honestly what I thought Star Wars should truly be. This seemed like a proper Star War. This was what Star Wars I felt was meant to be. Also, while they did manage to cobble together a part for Carrie Fisher, you've also got appearances from the other two. I mean, you got Billy D. Williams back as Lando Calrissian, but you've also got appearances from the two other of the original series trio, and I won't give away exactly what happens with them, but to me, when I saw them pop up in the film, I was like, yeah, that feels right to do. I mean, one of them didn't have a part at all in The Last Jedi, and one only had a brief part in The Force Awakens, so it felt good to finally see them get a final closeout for what is the end of the Skywalker saga. And I do think it built upon elements of the previous two films and ultimately built them up in things that I did like. For example, you had parts in The Last Jedi, especially with Rey and Kylo, that do pay off here in The Rise of Skywalker. There were elements that they had addressed in the previous films, and they managed to go whole hog with this one. But then again, it did also have a few things that we did question. For example, there's a part in the film where they have to go to a planet which supposedly contains the remains of the second Death Star, and my family was just wondering, wait a minute, is this part of Endor? I thought Endor was a gas giant. Is this part of its moon, or if it isn't, then how come this is so? Yeah, it does reveal up a few plot holes, which I admit is kind of problematic. But upon getting back home after seeing this film, I personally felt this was a great way to end out the sequel trilogy and a pretty good way to end out the Skywalker saga. I personally was satisfied. I know not everyone will be, but I thought The Rise of Skywalker was good. Now, the question does remain after this. This was the end of the Skywalker saga. I did thinking briefly, was this the end of Star Wars? Well, probably not. I mean, Star Wars is a multi-million-dollar franchise. This Star Wars is huge, and it's been going for over 40 years. I don't think that Disney is going to be really willing to give that up anytime soon. So, will there be an episode 10? Probably not for a while, but they may do more anthology films like Rogue One and Solo. I didn't see Solo, but I did see Rogue One, and I think they will kind of add in pieces here and there, and probably the TV series are probably going to continue as well. I mean, they've already done fairly well with The Mandalorian, from what I've heard. But The Rise of Skywalker, I personally thought it was a great way to round out the sequel trilogy, a good way to round out the Skywalker saga, and I thought it was a pretty good film. I admit not everyone is going to see it the same way, but I like The Rise of Skywalker, and it felt legitimately epic. Anyway, until 2020, see ya.